Today's guest is Bob Zarlengo. He's a partner with Zarlengo Robb, LLP, CPAs and Business Advisors in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Thank you to Zarlengo Robb, CPAs and Business Advisors in Wheat Ridge, Colorado for providing a location for us to film this episode. At Zarlengo Robb, they think like business owners. For more information about Zarlengo Robb, please click the link in our website show notes. Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors like Bob Zarlengo to help business owners like you enjoy more personal freedom, grow their companies faster, and transfer ownership seamlessly when the time comes. Today's guest, as I said, is Bob Zarlengo of Zarlengo Robb in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Bob has more than 4 decades of experience in the public accounting industry. Welcome back to the show, Bob Zarlengo.
Thank you.
And I'd like a little information on how value drivers can influence the exit planning process.
Well, value drivers are simply that. They drive the value up or down. In my experience, I put together 10 different value drivers, and when I meet up with a client on the exit planning side, I'll want to analyze those value drivers because usually with working on those, you can increase the value of the company in a relatively I don't want to say short period of time, but intermediate period of time. Mm-hmm. And so if you haven't analyzed your value drivers, you should do that.
Mm-hmm. How about if you've never heard of a value driver?
If you haven't heard of them, call me. Okay. We have a business card we can hold up to the camera. No, value drivers are key. I mean, they're key to any business, whether you're thinking about selling it now or 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. They're key.
You better know the 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have 10. Some people say there's 8. Some people say there's 6. Yeah. But there are things you should be looking at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Okay, I got another question in for you. It's more along the appraisal lines.
Okay.
What value drivers does an appraiser look at?
Well, he's going to look at there's 2 or 3 things that he looks at. But in the performance of the business, he's going to look at the discretionary cash flow that it generates, the normalized income. Mm-hmm. He's going to compare the company that he's valuing to the industry to see, whether you're like your net income percentage is if you're at 3% and the industry's at 10%, then there needs to be, you need to assess that. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have too many people, maybe you have you're overpaying for your inventory and stuff. That's one thing. The other thing that is critical when you're doing evaluation is that when you're starting to do your buildup of a capitalization rate, you look at company specific risks.
Oh, okay.
And so the company-specific risk value drivers may indicate those one way or another.
Okay. How about operating systems? How do you look at those?
Well, operating systems are important in the sense that to me, a good value driver or a strong value driver is if you have an operating system that can grow if the company grows. Mm-hmm. I mean, that you don't know what a potential buyer might be doing, but I mean, it's I'm looking at one right now where they're looking to buy the company because they want a presence in that geographical area. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, they're going to cut off one of their vendors that does some work for them and start shipping all the stuff to this company that does it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and but that wouldn't work if that company doesn't have an operating system that can handle an increase in activity.
Okay. Let's talk about business sectors for a second. I'm sure you have clients in different business sectors.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell how that can, when a change in a business sector, tell how that can affect a value of a business.
Well, things are changing geometrically. I mean, if you don't believe that, stop and think what cell phone you were carrying 10 years ago mm-hmm. and what you're carrying today. Mm-hmm. The transfer of electronic information is instantaneous. So all that is changing that. And so if you have a printing company, that may not be a good thing. If you have a company, the example I use in my presentations is I talk about the company that generates the yellow books that they pass out to people. And you get a kid out of college and say, here's a yellow book, see if you can find the address for the restaurant just up the block, and you give him the name of the restaurant, and he comes back to you and says, these aren't in alphabetical order by names. And so, so if you had somebody in the yellow book business, that's tough. So different business sectors affect that. Yeah, and conversely, you could have a business sector that is the .com companies were that way. When you get into that, then you get away from, on the valuation side, excuse me, you get away from the typical fair market value analysis, which is what IRS has defined, and you get into more of a strategic value or something of that nature, where somebody is buying it for something they want in the company and not necessarily based on what the company generates in revenue.
Okay, good.
Or in discretionary cash flow.
Yeah, like you mentioned the yellow book. I had an interesting slide presentation at once that showed the progression of Google Maps, and as Google Maps went up, the dumpster full of yellow books.
Sure, absolutely.
This last subject we're going to hit here is customer diversification. I'm sure you've had clients where you've had to help them work with that particular area.
Absolutely.
And also, how's a buyer see that when they're looking at buying a company?
Oh, that's one of the value drivers is customer diversification. If the subject business has diversified customers and there's no economic dependency on any one customer, they place a higher value on it. If you have and I've had this happen before. I had one client that 86% of their revenue was coming from one customer.
Wow.
And it was something that the owner told me when I asked him about it. He says, I try not to think about that, Bob. But it just kind of evolved, and it did. But I mean, when that customer went away, so did that. It's pretty much so did that business. And so it's something that's very important. The accounting profession has a long time ago came up with you're supposed to look at economic dependency, and if it's a problem, you should disclose it in the footnotes.
Okay, good.
To the financial statements.
Good advice. You can go to the show notes on our website for more information about Bob and Zarlengo Rob. At the end of this video, you can subscribe to our free newsletter, download free guides, and have an opportunity to win free books from Amazon.